Hello there and welcome back to the bar. And here we are during this series where we're looking at the value of investing in perceptions of your PMO and how it comes across to the rest of the business. So this week what I want to look at is the impact of getting the right level of sponsorship for your PMO. And often this is something that is a real misalignment between what people want and what actually happens in reality. So it can make a dramatic difference if your PMO is championed by someone at the right level, which probably needs to be COO, CEO. It's at that sort of level, and preferably a relatively independent function. And when I talk about PMOs in this context, I'm talking about portfolios rather than individual programs. So in order to get that level of sponsorship, the challenge is what do you need to do? Because many COOs and CEOs just wouldn't really sort of think of it as being a priority, and so therefore it ends up being sponsored relatively low down in the organization, and therefore sometimes lacks teeth and isn't really necessarily valued as highly as it could be. So what do you do to try and get that level of sponsorship? Well, here's a few thoughts for you to have a think about. First thing is you've got to make sure the whole proposition is incredibly simple. The CEO or the COO likes simple. They do not like anything that is too complicated. They will not like the evangelizing of textbook methodologies, etc. They're only interested in what's the right thing for the business. What are the outcomes that the PMO is going to drive? And simple is good. So if they feel that you have got a PMO which is really coming up with some method or ways of simplifying and enabling more accelerated and better delivery, they're going to be happy. If they feel you're going to be coming up with ways of delivering with more certainty and predictability, they're going to be happy. So keeping the language simple and keeping sort of strictly to the biggest problems on the COO's table and how you're going to take those problems off them is a good starting point. Second thing is that you're presenting the PMO to that individual as a solution provider rather than a business, as a solution provider to business problems, rather than a process-oriented administrative function that's all about reporting and administration. You must position the PMO as something that will really enable the COO, the CEO, the CTO, etc., to help deliver their objectives for the year. And then the third is that making sure it comes across as being very aligned with business needs. So it may be that there's 2 or 3 strategic objectives for the business. The PMO should be completely aligned with those 3 or 4 objectives and should be aligned with the culture of the organization and not come across as trying to force the organization through complex and difficult methodologies when it's not in a position to cope with that. And then the final thing is making sure if you're sort of running the PMO, that you come across as being comfortable in that C space, operating at the right level of discussion, the right level of debate, etc., and seen as being a real contributor to that level of the organization. And then, if you get that level of sponsorship from that sort of individual, CEO, COO, that sort of level, you're going to get really strong championing across the business, and that's where your credibility can go through the roof. And you can really start to operate as a PMO with teeth. Good luck with it.